everyone, welcome to my channel. Since we are getting ready to start a brand new month, I thought I would share my August reads with you. I'll be reviewing the books that I have read this month, share with you a couple of the others that I'm still working on, and show you what's next up on my reading list. So with that said, grab a warm mug of coffee or tea, and let's take a look at my view from my landlocked beach house. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and jump right into our first book, which is actually something that I finished reading at the end of July. However, I do think it is a very, very important book for, I would go so far as to say, everyone, in an effort of better understanding and communication and empathy, I guess you could say. The book is How to Be Antiracist by Ibram X. Kendi, Dr. Ibram X. Kendi. It is a fascinating book. It was very eye-opening in the sense that I learned that there are aspects of racism in every aspect of our society. And growing up in the Midwest in a predominantly white community, in a predominantly white neighborhood, I never realized how pervasive racism actually is. This book helped open my eyes, and it helped me realize that there are things that we can do as individuals. Primarily be aware of what we're saying and how we're behaving to foster understanding and interracial relations, that sort of thing. I very highly recommend. It is not a light read. It is not a comfortable read. But again, it's something that I think is really, really important, especially with the difficulties in our American society at this point. And a big realization is that, racism has been around forever, and it doesn't necessarily go away. It adapts, but we can be the change. So this is my first recommendation. Again, not a light read, but something that I think is very worthwhile. One book that I have been working on now for quite a while, and I just cannot get my head around it, but I really want to because I love the title of this book so much. It is The Ministry of Utmost Happiness by Arundhati Roy. I'm honestly not very far into it, but I'm having a hard time with it. I did used to belong to the Book of the Month Club. I didn't because I was getting behind on my reading and just got too many books, if that's actually a thing. To me, it's a thing because I only have so much storage space for books. But this came to me through them. It was one of my selections, and it's the story in it is compelling enough, but I just can't get my mind wrapped around it because I think I can't relate. And I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than that. I think it's got a lot of potential. I kind of want to keep pushing through to see, what happens and what develops, but I'm not having good luck with it. So if you have read this or know anybody that has, Leave a comment for me in the sections down below. I'm going to link all the books in the description box below. So if you have any thoughts or are interested in picking them up, you can find them. But if you've read this one in particular, let me know what you thought. Maybe I'm just really not giving it a good enough shake. But there's that. Okay, another one that I finished in August. And this one really hit me deeply. The How to Be an Anti-Racist one bothered me in sort of a self-reflection sort of bother. This one bothered me deeper than that. But this one is called The Color of Compromise. It's the truth about the American church's complicity in racism. It's written by Jemar Tisby, and it is another very, very eye-opening book in the sense that it tells the story of very prominent religious figures within the American church throughout the nation's history that would get up in the pulpit on Sundays and preach equality, fairness, love thy neighbor, all of the things that we as American Christians are educated to believe, and all of this other thing. But then when they stepped down out of the pulpit, they weren't living their word. They were slave owners. They didn't do what they could to promote equality in their communities. And it was just very eye-opening. It does focus on the top 3 Christian denominations, one of which is mine, Presbyterian. But, with that said, it does expound on the fact that there are differences in denominations. Like, within the Presbyterian Church, there's the PCA, which is the Presbyterian Church in America, and then there is the PCUSA, which is the Presbyterian Church in the United States of America. Both have the same basic doctrine, and yet there are so many tiny little details that add up to big differences. So this is just a really, really important book, I feel. Much like the How to Be an Anti-Racist, this goes a little bit more from a religious spin. And again, not comfortable. It even said in the introduction of the book that this was going to be an uncomfortable read for a lot of people for a lot of reasons, and it's definitely true. It doesn't take long to get through. There's a lot of details, but it was worth the read. So I would pick that up. Okay, so another one that I have been working on is Game of Thrones, and this is actually the first in the series, Game of Thrones. I absolutely adore the HBO series, and along with popular opinion, I thought season 8 was garbage. And I'm going to come right out and say it. It was garbage. It did not end the way that I think it should have ended. That's an entirely different conversation for a different video. But now I'm reading my way through the books, and I'm noticing that the character descriptions in these books are a lot different than how they were portrayed on TV. And I think probably a lot of that has to do with cinematic creative license. You want the stories to be compelling on film, so everybody needs to be attractive and all of that, which Tyrion is the one that most sticks out to me as different as far as the character descriptions. I'm about halfway through this one. To be fair, my husband and we did cut the cable cord right after the series originally ended on HBO. But earlier this year, we did add HBO to our Hulu package so that we can rewatch the entire series from the beginning. And so, yeah, I'm sort of sort of getting along, back and forth with the book and the series, and but it is, to be fair, the series is helping me get through this and be able to visualize things a little better, because I'm not real big on the sci-fi fantasy sort of genre, book-wise, but having the series to watch helps. So that's that. Okay, so another one that I am just about finished with, and when I say just about, I've got like 20 pages to go. And this is a book in a series covering one of my very favorite topics, if you can't tell from my background. The Secret Stories of Walt Disney World, Things You Never Knew You Never Knew. These books, there is a series of 4 of them. They are written by Disney historian Jim Korkis, and they tell the actual stories. There's a lot of myths and legends surrounding most of everything on the Walt Disney World property, but these books tell the actual stories. The stories themselves are only a couple pages long each, so there's a good number of stories in each book. I did find these on Amazon, and they're just really fun little guidebooks. Like I've been reading them in between some of the other heavy material that I've been reading in, just to, kind of level myself out a little bit. So I would highly recommend it. Excellent book. And it's Disney, so how can you go wrong, right? So up next on my reading list, starting in September, White Fragility, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism, by Robin DiAngelo. This one I've heard some mixed reviews on. I've heard that it's a really good book. I've heard that it's a terrible book. I've heard kind of in the middle of the road. If you have read this and wouldn't mind, please share a comment below with what you thought. I'm interested to see what she has to say. I haven't dug into it at all, so I have no idea what to expect. But that's next up on my list. And then also, in addition to that, I have the other 3 Jim Korkis books. The More Secret Stories of Walt Disney World, Other Secret Stories of Walt Disney World, and Extra Secrets of Walt Disney World. So I'm excited. I probably will not finish all of these in September, as I've got a couple other projects going right now as well, other than reading, which isn't a bad thing. It's good to be diverse in everything. But that is basically it. Plus, we'll be getting ready for fall. My anniversary is coming up next month, so there's just kind of a lot going on. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this August read review. Leave me a comment in the section down below with what you think I should read starting in October. I do have a couple things on the shelf, but I'm always looking for new ideas. With that said, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.